Hi everyone, welcome to Career Launcher. My name is Abhilasha and I'll be taking you through CUET 2027 preparation. So I hope you've been joining me every week for this session, same day, same time, same place for CUET prep. If you're somebody who has been doing CUET prep, you know that vocabulary is an integral part of the exam and therefore you must do your preparation for vocabulary very, very seriously. I hope you've by now built a vocabulary notebook and that you have already started putting in your words, the synonyms, antonyms, and whenever you come across some interesting word, you're adding it to your vocabulary notebook. Idioms and expressions are also very important because, again, a lot of questions are based on idioms and expressions. Also, that your reading comprehension has a lot of idiomatic usage, and if you know your idioms well, then that just makes your life very, very easy. So let's not waste any time. Let's get started with idioms and expressions. As we go along, I will keep teaching you some extra idioms and expressions as is required. So let's just do this. All right. So what are we covering today? Idioms. We know that this is very different from the literal meaning. And yes, so let's identify the meaning of the idiom. To throw down the gauntlet. What does that mean? To surrender without a fight, to issue a challenge or provocation, to give up an expensive possession, or to show extreme anger in public. Now, so there is a very beautiful story. I know you've heard of the knights, not the knight, but the knights of the round table and the knights of King Arthur. So in England, in those days, the knights, now the king would have his knights, and the knights would just be, if it is not wartime, what do? They're sitting around free. So they would train. And how would they train? They would have jousting tournaments. Now, in a jousting tournament, what would you do? You would actually fight. So these would be mock fights, right? So the knights would fight each other. Now, because the knights would be ready for war, so they would wear the entire chain mail and everything, and they would have their helmets and all. So let's say two knights are fighting with each other, and one knight gets very angry with the other knight, and he says, I want to see you. And he wants to just challenge that person. Now, because you are on a horse, the other knight is also on a horse. How do you have to take out that entire armor and then you can speak? So what they would do was they would just throw their glove at the person they wanted to challenge. So the glove was called the gauntlet. So if you threw down the gauntlet at someone, it meant I'm challenging you. So to issue a challenge. Now, if that knight picked up the glove or the gauntlet, so he would accept the challenge. So the other idiom was to pick up the gauntlet. And that meant to accept the challenge. So how nice this is, na? So to pick up or accept the challenge. Pick up is to pick up the gauntlet is to accept. To throw the gauntlet at someone is to challenge someone or provocate someone. Okay, or provoke someone. So that's such a beautiful idiom. A lot of these idioms have come from stories, mythology, usages, and very interesting ones. Now, this word Pyrrhic victory comes from the story of King Pyrrhus, right? Now, he was the king of Greece. Now, the story is that there was a war. There was a Roman war, the Roman armies with which he had a war, right? Now, the war was a very long one. They fought and they fought and they fought. But, so he finally won. But the cost of the war was so much that they could not, recover anything. Ultimately, why were the kings fighting? To make it profitable. So they would go fight, win a war, and whatever they would loot, they would bring it. So now if the war ran so long that you spent much more than what you actually earned, that was called the Pyrrhic victory. So therefore, a victory gained at a devastatingly high cost is something called a Pyrrhic victory. So for example, you fight a case in a court, and you get a compensation of 5 lakh rupees, but at the end of 10 years, so you've lost 10 years. So that is a pyrrhic victory. So it's a symbolic victory, not really something where you actually won anything. So pyrrhic victory, a victory gained at a devastatingly high cost. To burn the candle at both ends. Now, if you're somebody who's burning the candle at both ends, that means you're working. I mean, this side the candle is burning, 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 then the other side also. That means you're working very hard until very late in the night. So you're exhausting yourself by working late and rising early. Now, this is a very beautiful idiom for, let's say, people who are running a startup. They are the ones who are burning the candle at both ends. So they are working very hard, they're working late, they're rising early, they're just giving all their life to this. So startup owners are like that. In the initial few years, you have to be burning the candle at both ends. There's another idiom which is to burn the midnight oil, right? To burn the midnight oil means to work very late at night. So there are some of us who like to burn the midnight oil, right? And then there are some who are forced into doing it. So for example, every Monday I have classes till 11:30 in the night. So I'm burning the midnight oil, even if I'm not very happy about it, but I'm still doing it, right? So when you work till late, it is called burning the midnight oil. When you work very hard, you're tired, that's called burning the candle at both ends. All right. When someone steals your thunder, they have taken credit for your idea or they lessen your impact. So imagine my thunder, I'm a cloud, I have big thunder, and somebody steals it. That's so funny, na? The idea of somebody taking away your, yeah, but you understand. So all that credit that you deserve, somebody else has taken it. So they've taken credit for your idea or lessened your impact. Can you think of any idiom that is to do with thunder, rain, clouds? If you can put it in the chat box just now. And don't put it's raining cats and dogs. Yeah, because that's the one that I will tell you. Raining cats and dogs, this idiom is a very lovely idiom. Again, it comes from England in 18th century. Now, it is very cold in England, right? And they had stone houses and they would have, the roofs would be thatched. That means it was made of dry grass. And the family animals would sleep in that. So the cats and the dogs would sleep there because the grass is warm, right? The thatch would be warm. But sometimes it would rain. And when it would rain, what would happen? That the thatch would become slippery and the animals would actually fall. So you would be eating on the dining table and suddenly one cat would drop into the this thing table, or a dog would jump in, fall in actually, yeah. So that was called raining cats and dogs. And that's how you got this beautiful idiom, which means a lot of rain. Like last week, Monday and Tuesday, it was raining cats and dogs. Okay, so heavy rains. And Delhi cannot handle it. To tilt at the windmills. Now, if you're, imagine a windmill, it's so big, it's humongous. If you're trying to fight it, what will happen? You'll not be able to win this war, right? So, to tilt at the windmill, it is to undertake an absurd, hopeless, or imaginary battle, a battle which is not really, worth your while. You know it's a battle that you will not win. There is no way that you can win this battle. So to tilt at the windmill is to win and to undertake an absurd, hopeless, or imaginary battle. Now this one I think comes from there is a story which is coming from this. This is some person called Don Quixote. So he would he was highly imaginative. He was delusional. So he rode a horse and he would take his sword and he would try to cut down a row of windmills. Now, of course, that was not happening. So to tilt at the windmill is to charge at some large opponent. So to tilt at the windmill, to undertake an absurd, hopeless, or imaginary battle. All right, to bite the bullet is to react violently, to face a painful situation with courage, to speak rudely to a senior authority, to cancel a plan at the last minute. All right, so the correct answer here will be to face a painful situation with courage. That's to bite the bullet. I finally bit the bullet and filled up my form for the exam. Done it. All right, if a project is in the offing, what does that mean? Okay, is it completely cancelled and forgotten? Is it under strict official investigation? Is it likely to happen? Is it operating secretly without public knowledge? If something is in the offing, means it is about to happen. It is likely to happen very soon. So, for example, for all our students, the exams are in the offing. They're just about to happen. All right. To keep one's powder dry. Now, when we talk of powder, let's understand what powder is this. This is gunpowder. So, if you're trying to keep your powder dry, what are you doing? You are trying to stay prepared for future action, because if your gunpowder is dry, only then you can fight a war, right? So, this is a battle idiom, na? To keep one's powder dry. Just like biting a bullet is also a battle idiom. It means that the soldiers sort of, when they would be a so when there would be an accident on the battlefield and the soldiers would be sent to the hospital, they would be given a bullet to bite so that they would not shout or scream, and then surgery would happen on them, because those days there was no anesthesia. So that is also a battle idiom, to bite the bullet. So again, to keep one's powder dry is coming from gunpowder, and gunpowder, of course, we understand is something that the soldiers were using to stay prepared for future action. All right, kick the bucket, of course, is a very beautiful euphemism. We know what a euphemism is. A euphemism is a figure of speech where something very harsh is spoken in less harsh terms. So, kick the bucket means to die. Okay. To be in the boneyard. To be in the boneyard is a dysphemism, which again means something very offensive. So euphemism, because it comes from the root eu, means good, and dysphemism because it comes from the root dys, which means something bad. So euphemism, something good, something less unpleasant, and dysphemism, something really unpleasant. Okay, so to kick the bucket, to die. To pass the buck, is it to donate money to charity, to pass an exam easily, to shift responsibility to someone else, or to travel across borders illegally? When you're passing the buck, what does that mean? You are sort of shifting responsibility to someone else. Okay, how would you do that? You would in the older days, in the 19th century, when you would be playing poker, so you would actually pass on a knife, okay, which would be telling you that, okay, it's now your turn, it's not my turn anymore. So buck was actually a buckhorn knife, right? A small knife made out of buckhorn, and this knife would be passed on from one person to another, which would say, okay, if you have the knife now, your responsibility. So it was all about shifting responsibility to someone else. Okay, to smell a rat, does it mean to clean a dirty room, to suspect foul play, to feel sick due to bad food, or to hunt small animals in a field? To smell a rat. When you're smelling a rat, what happens? You understand that something is wrong. Now, this idiom comes from dogs. Dogs and cats, animals. So when a dog smells a rat, if a dead rat is lying somewhere, a dog will smell a rat, it will know that there's something wrong. So to suspect foul play or deception is to smell a rat. Okay. I hope it's all right. I hope you're able to understand this. Let's go to the next one. A fly in the ointment. A minor problem that spoils an otherwise good situation. A tiny insect stuck in food. A brilliant idea in a boring conversation. A secret helper in a difficult task. So, a fly in the ointment. If you have an ointment and if a fly falls in it, what happens? So, one small problem will ruin something very good, isn't it? So, therefore, a minor problem that spoils an otherwise good situation. Imagine you've got a great dish of food, and if a fly falls in it, what will happen? You won't be able to eat it, right? So, that's a fly in the ointment. To bury the hatchet, to hide stolen goods carefully, to make peace and end a conflict, to work hard on a farm, to forget an important promise. When you bury a hatchet, what is it doing? So in America, the Red Indians, let's say you and I are Red Indians and we are fighting, and now we have to make peace. So we would actually take our hatchets and then bury them. So that would mean to make peace and to end a conflict. So if you buried a hatchet, you had actually literally buried the hatchet and stopped the war. So the warlords would do that. So how beautiful, na? This is such a, English is such a lovely language that they would, you take words and idioms from different areas and just sort of use them everywhere. So bury the hatchet, literally somebody was burying the hatchet. All right, to read between the lines is to read a book very quickly, to correct grammatical errors in text, to understand a hidden or implied meaning, or to memorize information line by line. So what does that mean? So earlier, even now, I don't know if you've seen Dhurandhar, and you would have. So he has this diary that he writes in, and he writes in it using invisible ink. So earlier also, when people would want to send messages, they would write a letter in normal ink, and then in between those lines, they would write with invisible ink. Okay. So when the receiver would receive the letter, they would heed that letter and they'd be able to see what was written. So to read between the lines is to understand a hidden or implied meaning. And see how beautifully you've got a meaning for this one. To read between the lines. Okay. All right. To burn the midnight oil, I have already told you the meaning of this one. So I hope you remember. It's not to waste precious fuel. It is to work or study late into the night. Not to set fire, of course not. We are not into arson. Huh? Arson is to deliberately set fire to a building. To stay awake partying with friends, no, not even that. Partying with friends is to paint the town red. Yeah, but that has no element of time. This is just to party. Right? When you're partying hard with your friends, you're painting the town red. That's a different one. All right, what is to spill the beans? To make a mess in the kitchen, to waste money on bad investments, to reveal a secret prematurely, or to drop important work materials. What happens when you have spilled the beans? So now in ancient Greece, if you wanted to vote, you would put beans in a box, right? Now, if somebody sort of opened the box or it fell out, the beans would be spilled and the secret, that is who's been voted for, would be revealed. So to spill the beans means to reveal a secret prematurely. Before it is time, if you have revealed the secret, that's spilling the beans. To cut corners, of course, this is an easy one. I think everybody knows if you cut corners, you're doing something shabbily in order to save money. Not to drive safely. to do something in the easiest, cheapest, or fastest way, often dropping quality. Yes, you always leave quality aside when you're cutting corners, not to take a shortcut through a narrow alley and not to reduce spending on luxury items. All right, what does to take something with a grain of salt mean? Does it mean to view something with skepticism, to add flavor to a boring story, to accept an apology, to get angry over a minor detail? So, so in earlier, again, this is some mythology which says poison would be neutralized if you had it with a grain of salt. So when you took something with a grain of salt, you would be able to finish it, kill it. Okay. So therefore, to view something with skepticism or doubt. To add flavor to a boring story is to spice up something, right? To spice up something is to add flavor to a boring story. That's a nice one. To accept an apology could be let bygones be bygones. Again, see what a beautiful idiom this is. Huh? And to get angry over a minor detail, again, these are all idioms. Huh? To make a mountain out of a molehill, right? To get angry unnecessarily. Lovely idioms these, huh? All right. Barking up a wrong tree. To train a dog improperly, to pursue a mistaken line of thought or action, to accuse an innocent person in court, to work on a project with no financial return. Barking up the wrong tree means to look for help or clues in the wrong place. So it is actually not happening, right? So you're looking for help in the wrong place. So to pursue a mistaken line of thought or action will be the correct answer, not to train a dog improperly. What would happen was when hunting dogs would be sent out and they would not, I mean, they would be looking at a wrong tree. Okay, so that is called barking up the wrong tree. Okay. To accuse an innocent person in court is to point fingers. Yeah, when you accuse someone, you are pointing fingers. To work on a project with no financial return is to, and okay, now this could be for anything. To flog a dead horse means that you are doing something which will give you no return. If a horse is dead, even if you flog it, is it going to start running? No. So, flogging a dead horse is doing something with no result. All right, to add fuel to fire, to make a bad situation worse, to keep a campfire burning all night, to motivate someone to work hard, to spend money recklessly. Now, to add fuel to fire, guys, actually means what? That if there is a fire and you add some inflammable liquid to it, what will happen? The fire will rage. So you're escalating the fire or escalating the conflict. So therefore, that won't work, huh? So to make a bad situation worse. To keep a campfire burning, now that's not something. To motivate someone to work hard is to, let's say, to egg someone on. Okay, so that could work. To spend money recklessly is to burn a hole in your pocket. So that is to spend money recklessly. Anyway, so that's your 20 questions. Okay, guys, now this is something very important. From August 12 to 16, there is a freedom sale that is going on for CUET courses, the CUET online program starting at just 11,700. This is the lowest price ever. If you wish to join us, all you need to do is click on this QR code and you're set to go. Okay, do remember to enroll right away. Okay, if you like this session, do remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and share with a friend also. If you wish to enroll at Career Launcher, the number that you need to connect is 8130-038-836. Okay, guys, I will see you again, same time, same place. That means next week, Thursday is 5. You know the time. Bye bye. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye bye.